Dear Aries, there is something stirring in the space around you. It's not the wind, and it's not a fleeting sensation. It's a kind of quiet motion, as if your soul has just been called by name, not outside you, but deep within your spirit. A strange feeling, not clear, not loud, but persistent, like a silent call. An instinct that says, you can no longer live the way you used to. You start to see everything differently. A relationship that once hurt you suddenly no longer has the power to hold you. A place that once felt safe suddenly feels suffocating. A person who once meant everything is now just a memory you no longer wish to keep. And you are no longer the you of yesterday. So what is happening? Why do you feel like you no longer belong? Why do you wake at 3 a.m. for no reason? Why do you keep seeing 111, 333, 717? Why do painful memories suddenly rise, then dissolve? Because a spiritual calling is sounding. No one is forcing you to change. No one is pressuring you to believe. But if you have been chosen to feel this, then you can no longer pretend not to see it. Do you hear it, Aries? Do you sense something opening, something no one else can see? And if your heart is trembling right now, stay. Because what you're about to hear is not a prophecy for everyone. It's a reminder made just for you. For the soul standing on the threshold of transformation, there is something strange happening to you. You can't name it, you can't explain it to anyone, but you feel it. Every time you sigh for no reason, every time you look at the sky and feel your heart lost somewhere nameless. You start dreaming things you've never seen. You hear voices in the silence. You feel watched, not by someone, but by something. And you don't know why, but you feel that you are being chosen. Aries, if you've seen the signs, if you know something in your chest is beating louder, stay here, because the answer to everything you haven't been able to explain is waiting for you, just beyond the next breath. There's a truth not everyone is ready to admit. Most people aren't truly afraid of change. They're afraid of being forced to let go of what's familiar, even when it's no longer healthy, no longer right, no longer fitting. Because sometimes, what makes us tired isn't the wrong path, but the refusal to leave a road that leads nowhere. Readiness is not a waiting room. It's a conscious, quiet choice to trust without proof, to open your heart while it's still sore, to move forward, even when the path is still wrapped in mist. I once thought that wanting something deeply enough would make it arrive. If only I had known sooner that what I longed for would not come from waiting, but from living as if I were already ready to receive it. The universe doesn't respond to the knock of wanting. It moves only when you begin to live as though you are ready for what you've asked for. Every soul reaches a fork, where it must either move forward or return to an old shadow. A new door cannot open if you keep turning back to the lock of the old one. We know this, and yet we hesitate, because the heart that once shattered hasn't quite healed. Because the trust that once broke still trembles at the thought of opening again. But be honest with yourself. Can you carry old wounds into a new path and still expect a miracle to appear? This is a lesson I learned through my own experience. Not every loss is a punishment. Some things were taken from you only because you had once prayed for freedom. You asked for a more complete life, but kept clinging to what felt familiar. And so, the universe had no choice but to help you let go, by letting everything fall apart. When I understood this, I no longer asked, why did this happen to me? Instead, I began to ask, was I truly ready for the very thing I prayed for? Destiny's transformation never begins from the outside. It begins the moment you allow your soul to return what no longer belongs to it. A relationship that once meant everything is now just a lesson. A job that once sustained your life no longer nourishes your spirit. A way of living that once helped you survive can no longer help you breathe. You must step out, not because everything behind you is wrong, but because you have outgrown the version of you that once needed it. I know this isn't easy, because being ready means being exposed. No more excuses, no more blame, just you. And one choice, to keep turning away or turn back toward your soul. So if you feel like you're standing at a threshold, don't pressure yourself to see everything clearly yet. Just admit this one thing. Something is changing inside me, and I am no longer who I used to be. That alone is enough to begin. Whisper to the universe, I am ready to receive all that belongs to me, not too early, not too late, but in the exact moment my soul has chosen. And after you say that, don't be surprised if someone leaves, if an old door quietly closes, if a sorrow rises and then dissolves, because every true readiness begins with a quiet ending. So if your heart is beating faster as you read this, if something is rising inside you, even if it has no name, write it down. I am ready, and I no longer reject my destiny. Next, you'll understand that the things that once felt unfair were not random, and they were never forgotten. They are the very proof that divine justice has always been at work, silent but precise. Have you ever felt abandoned in your pain while the one who hurt you lived on in peace? Have you ever whispered through tears, does heaven not see this? Is justice just a beautiful dream meant for someone else? If you've ever collapsed under the weight of injustice, if you've ever forgiven but never truly forgotten, then this message is for you. Justice is not thunder in the sky. It is silence, so exact, it chills. It comes at the right time, to the right place, for the right person. And if you still believe your wounds were meaningless, stay, because what's coming for you isn't just healing, it is soul restoration, witnessed by the entire sky. There is a kind of justice that doesn't belong to courtrooms, that does not come from human mouths, that does not need to be exposed. It arrives quietly, when someone who once caused harm begins to feel a void that nothing in the world can fill. You may have forgiven, you may have walked away, but somewhere inside you, you still once asked, why did this happen to me? And why don't they have to face the consequences? The answer is, divine justice is never late. It simply waits for the perfect time. Archangel Metatron, the keeper of every soul's record, is said to guard the Akashic Library, where every action, every word, and every choice each person has ever made is eternally written. And when you see the Justice card, it's not a warning for someone else. It is confirmation that you did not walk through all that pain for nothing. No one escapes the truth. Even those who once brought you to your knees, even those who thought they had won. The universe does not measure by outcome. It measures by intention. And your soul, though once broken, chose not to respond with darkness. That is the greatest victory of all. Even the best liars, even the ones who made you feel small and unworthy. They may fool the world, but they cannot erase the energy they've left behind. The universe does not run on rage. It runs on balance. Someone once poisoned your life and believed they'd never be found out. What they don't know is, karma isn't blind. It's just waiting for the right time. And that time might be very close. You no longer need revenge. Your restoration is already underway. Quietly, patiently. But cell by cell, you are being healed, because you no longer need their apology. The universe already recorded everything. You no longer need revenge, because light is doing what darkness never could, bringing you back to wholeness without hurting anyone else. I know, what you've been through hasn't been easy. You lost your faith. You once thought you were abandoned by the heavens, but there's something you must remember. The sky is not silent. The sky is at work. You may not see it yet, but if you've ever seen light in the eyes of a child, the smile of someone no longer by your side, or felt the kindness of a breeze just as you were about to fall, then you know something greater is protecting you. Today's affirmation: I am protected by divine justice. I am restored not by hatred but by light. Write it down. Let it be your declaration to the universe. I've learned what I needed to learn, and I am ready to receive what I was meant for. Next, you'll come to understand. True love does not come to exhaust you. It comes to help you breathe again, as if you finally come home to your soul. A new beginning is waiting for you. And it will not look like anything you've known before. Smord. True love is nothing like the kind you once had to fight to keep. It doesn't come to test your limits. It doesn't come to teach you endurance. And it certainly doesn't come just to fill the lonely nights. True love comes to bring you home. Home to yourself. No more pretending to be strong, no more performing happiness, just you, as you are, already worthy of love. I believe this. It's not that you never loved the right person. It's that you loved before you learned to love yourself. That's why you accepted less than you deserved. That's why you waited on promises that never came. That's why you thought you had to shrink to keep someone from leaving. But then you learned. Anyone who leaves the moment you return to yourself was never really there to begin with. Love from the soul never arrives through words. The one truly meant for you will not come with promises, but with actions. They won't say, "I'll change." They'll simply live in a way that shows you were worthy of love all along. They won't make you feel small. They won't make you doubt your worth. They won't leave you guessing, waiting, or compromising your peace. They'll look at you, and you'll see light in yourself, not because they are perfect, but because they'll make you forget every half-love you ever settled for. I used to think that a good love was one I had to work hard to keep, but now I know. The right love is the one that makes me want to stay true to myself. And there's something you need to know. If you still hold space in your heart for the past, the new one cannot enter. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because the energy you're radiating is still an open invitation to what's already over. And the new one, the one who comes to heal, they won't want to walk into a space still stained with the blood of wounds that haven't been cleaned. You deserve a beginning that doesn't come from tears, a hand that doesn't have to be gripped tightly yet never lets go, a gaze that doesn't make you anxious but helps you breathe. They will arrive when you've stopped searching, when you choose to live fully, even alone, when you no longer hunger for someone to rescue you because you have already become your own light. Say this to yourself every morning. I am worthy of love that is clear, deep, and safe. I no longer choose love that comes from my wounds. I only receive love that comes from light. And if that sentence touches the deepest part of you, write it down as a vow to your own heart that you will not return to the very thing that once shattered you. And if you're wondering, is that person real? Then I want you to know, they are wondering the same thing about you. They too are hearing a call in the night, and maybe the words you leave behind today will be the signal that helps them realize you are still here, and you are ready. They too are healing. They too are learning to stop trying to save others and to love themselves first so they can love you completely. Next, you will see that everything that led you here was not meant to punish you, but to prepare you for a destiny greater than you've ever imagined. Because the person you are becoming is the answer to someone else's prayer. You may have traveled far in search of a sign, a message, a hand, a reassurance that you are not lost. You've read countless messages, listened to endless prophecies, and prayed for guidance on long, lonely nights. But the strange truth is, the more you searched outside yourself, the emptier you felt. And then, in some quiet moment, you began to realize the answer is not in the cards, not in the dreams, not in someone else. The answer is you. And if you've ever doubted yourself, know this: no one else can become you in your place. You are the prayer made flesh. You are the eyes that no longer abandon themselves. You are the breath that stops waiting for a miracle and becomes the miracle instead. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to fit into any mold. You only need to return to who you truly are, the version your soul has always chosen to be. Destiny was never far from you. It's only been waiting for you to turn around and say, I am ready. If you've passed through these 3 layers of awakening, the courageous act of receiving, the unwavering trust in divine justice, and the open heart ready for a soul-aligned love, then you are the clearest sign that the universe never got it wrong. Thank you for being here. Thank you for not turning away from the journey back into your own light. You may not realize this, but your presence here today is already a miracle for yourself, and maybe for someone else reading this too. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment below. I am ready, and I no longer reject my destiny. Share this video if you believe it might arrive at the perfect moment for someone else, just like it did for you. Because every soul that is ready is a candle lighting the way for the world. And the light always returns to where it belongs.